Monster setup. Illumination has been quietly laying groundwork for a creature-filled direction in the upcoming film. The third entry in the Yellow Henchman franchise has been reported with the working title Minions and Monsters, suggesting a significant shift towards supernatural or monstrous elements. The franchise already experimented with monster aesthetics through El Macho's volcano lair and the mutated purple creatures in Despicable Me 2, which fans view as early tests of transforming beloved characters into more aggressive, feral forms. Fan discussions speculate the new film will expand this concept by pairing the yellow sidekicks with classic monster movie archetypes like Frankenstein-style experiments or cryptid villains, leveraging Illumination's established love of pastiche and parody. Some theory posts argue that because the creatures historically search for the most despicable leader across eras, the next logical escalation involves a villain who literally creates or controls monsters. The franchise's box office strength of nearly $5 billion globally gives the studio leeway to experiment with genre mashups, reinforcing the plausibility of this direction. This theory provides a framework for understanding how the rumored subtitle connects to the franchise's past, making it feel like a natural evolution rather than a random gimmick. Hidden prototype. Gru may have created a hidden monster prototype that his loyal workers accidentally unleash. The villain has repeatedly worked with dangerous science throughout the series, including shrink rays, freeze rays, transformation serums, and the PX-41 mutagen that turned yellow creatures into violent purple versions in Despicable Me 2. A recurring fan speculation suggests Gru and Dr. Nefario would inevitably escalate their experiments beyond their usual subjects, possibly crafting a single powerful creature as a prototype for a new era of villainy. Theory videos argue the Monsters branding hints this prototype will resurface, with the bumbling henchman either losing control of it or trying to use it for mischief. The timeline placement of the third film, still in Gru's younger years as a prequel to the main trilogy, allows space for secret projects that never appeared in the original films, which fans see as narrative gaps perfect for a hidden monster storyline. Comment sections often speculate that the chaotic loyalty of the yellow workers makes them ideal accidental accomplices for something Gru never meant to unleash. This theory ties the new film directly into established canon, rather than treating monsters as a random addition, while also leaning into the comedic potential of triggering the villain's worst hidden experiment. Lost Tribes. Separate factions of yellow creatures may have split off centuries ago, and now serve different villains in the third film. The 2015 film's prologue shows the creatures serving various masters across history, including a T-Rex, Dracula, and Napoleon, before isolating themselves in an Antarctic cave after repeatedly causing their leaders' downfalls. A highly discussed theory argues that not all of them would have stuck together through every catastrophe, with some likely getting separated or lost and forming other tribes that continued following their own villainous paths. This theory suggests these lost groups would logically still exist by the time of Gru's youth, serving rival villains who might clash with Gru and his workers in the upcoming film. Fans point to the narrator's emphasis that the creatures sought the most despicable leader they could find, implying a global search and the possibility that different groups reach different conclusions. Concept art and spin-off shorts sometimes hint at varied populations and costumes, which some fans interpret as evidence of distinct cultures or factions. As the franchise grows, commenters speculate Illumination will want to expand the toy line and character roster, with introducing rival clans being a natural way to accomplish this. Some theory videos even imagine color variant creatures or groups aligned with specific monster types to fit the Monsters label. This theory opens the door for a bigger feeling film without contradicting prior entries, with rival clans creating comedy through culture clash and different gibberish dialects. Female member. The mysterious 900th member may finally appear as the only female who left the others long ago and could return in the third film. Fan discussions frequently note that all on-screen characters appear male-coded, with male names and voices, and official material has stated there are no female versions, sparking countless theories about what this means for the species. A theory explored in focused videos suggests there were originally 900 creatures, not the commonly cited 899, and that the missing 900th member was a uniquely intelligent female who left because the others were too silly. The same videos connect this to Easter egg-style numbering and background props, arguing Illumination could be teasing the existence of an off-screen character with a special role in future films. Theorists speculate the third film, with its expansion vibe and monster theme, is the perfect point to finally bring this character into the story, either as an antagonist working with a rival villain, or as a hyper-competent ally who clashes with the chaotic nature of Kevin, Stuart, and Bob. Comment sections often frame her as a straight man character who is less goofy and more strategic, potentially critical of Gru's chaotic leadership, which would shake up the usual dynamic. Some fans tie her into the Lost Tribes theory, suggesting she left not just Gru's group, but the entire main tribe, founding a new society that could return in the third film. Despite many videos discussing this character, no Illumination representative has publicly confirmed she exists in canon. This theory neatly addresses long-running questions about female representation while giving the new film a buzzworthy character twist that could tie into the monster theme. Immortal workers. The yellow workers may be effectively immortal, and the third film could finally test this theory with monster threats. The 2015 prologue shows the creatures alive during dinosaur times, then serving villains across centuries with no sign of aging, implying an extremely long lifespan. Fan theory videos argue they do not just live long, but cannot die by conventional means, which explains how they survive extreme slapstick injuries that would eliminate other characters. One explanation proposes cloning, with Gru and Dr. Nefario supposedly creating a machine to replicate them using existing DNA, shown in an official animated short, which fans say justifies the absurdly high population and apparent indestructibility. For the upcoming film, some speculate a monster-themed plot could explicitly test this resilience, pitting them against threats specifically designed to destroy them, and revealing whether they truly cannot be eliminated. Commenters often note that confirming or heavily implying immortality would fit the franchise's darker humor, while still playing as cartoon logic. This theory reframes the sidekicks from comic relief into unsettlingly indestructible beings, which makes a monsters storyline more symmetrical, raising the question of whether they are serving monsters or are the real monsters themselves. Ultimate villain. A crossover-style antagonist may combine traits from past franchise villains into a single monstrous boss for the third film. The series has introduced numerous villains, including Vector, El Macho, and Balthazar Brat, each with distinct aesthetics like technology, luchador style, and 80s nostalgia. And fans know Illumination often riffs on pop culture archetypes. Theory videos predict the big bad will be a kind of Frankenstein of these archetypes, a villain who literally experiments on themselves or others to become monstrous, bridging past styles with the monsters theme. Commenters speculate this villain could be an early rival of Gru who pushes villainy into horror territory, motivating Gru to refine his own approach seen later in the main trilogy. Some posts even suggest this monster boss will be referenced indirectly in the original films, as a cautionary tale in the villain community, retroactively tying the timelines together. Nothing official names such a character yet, but the pattern of meta-villains and the rumored monster theme lend credence to the idea of a mashup monster antagonist. This theory taps into audience expectations for escalation in third entries, with fans wanting a big, weird, monster-like foe that feels like a culmination of everything so far. By the way, if you are enjoying this, I create videos like this regularly. I would really appreciate a subscribe. Mutation return. The yellow workers themselves may transform into literal monsters in the third film, repeating and amplifying the purple mutation storyline. In Despicable Me 2, the PX-41 serum transforms them into purple, feral versions with heightened aggression, essentially making them monsters. Fan commenters argue Illumination would not introduce such a strong visual concept just once, with the third film seen as the perfect chance to revisit and expand that idea with the monster theme. Some theories predict a new variant of PX-41, or a related experiment will appear, mutating them into themed monsters like werewolf versions, vampire versions, or other classic creatures to match the titular monsters. In speculation threads, fans often picture Kevin, Stuart, and Bob each getting unique monster forms with personality traits exaggerated, such as Kevin as a towering brute, Bob as a deceptively cute horror, and Stuart as a rock star ghoul. Because the franchise always restores the status quo, theorists expect any monstrous transformations to be reversible, maintaining family-friendly stakes. This theory offers a toy-friendly, visually striking way to justify the monsters label, while keeping the focus squarely on the yellow sidekicks themselves, rather than a new outsider threat. Villain Academy. A monster-themed villain school may quietly expand Gru's implied education in villainy for the third film. The films and Minions, The Rise of Gru, depict Gru learning villainy through admiration of Vicious Six-style supervillains, but never show a formal educational institution. Theory videos suggest a monster academy where young villains experiment on creatures, including the Yellow Workers, would fit both the prequel timeline and the monsters premise perfectly. Commenters see this as a way to introduce younger monster villain rivals and explain some of Gru's later technology while staying consistent with the established timeline. This theory reframes the third film as a school year from chaos, mixing school comedy tropes with monster hijinks and filling in more of Gru's backstory. The concept aligns with the franchise's tendency to explore different genre templates while maintaining its core comedic identity, and the monster theme would add a fresh twist to the educational setting. Nefarios Experiments. Dr. Nefario's early experiments may have literally created monsters long before the second film, and the third film could reveal them. The elderly scientist is canonically responsible for many dubious inventions, including the PX-41 serum that makes monsters out of Yellow Workers. Fans theorize the third film will reveal a previous phase of his work, a hidden laboratory full of half-finished creature projects the workers accidentally wake up. This would thematically tie into both his later experiments and the rumored monsters focus, letting the new film feel like a prequel that meaningfully informs the second entry, rather than just a side adventure. The theory positions Nefario as having a longer history of dangerous experimentation than previously shown, with the upcoming film finally revealing the full extent of his mad scientist tendencies and connecting it directly to the monster theme. Sympathetic Creatures. The monsters in the third film may not be true villains at all, but misunderstood beings the Yellow Workers end up helping. Illumination films often flip expectations, turning apparent threats into sympathetic characters, as seen with Gru himself shifting from villain to adoptive father. Some fan posts argue the third film will repeat this structure, with the monsters feared by humans, but actually lonely or exploited laboratory creations. The workers, who have always been drawn to bad guys, might initially serve a monster hunter or mad scientist, before realizing the real victims are the creatures. Commenters point out this would align with the franchise's family-friendly messaging about judging others by appearances, while fans also see merchandising potential in cute, huggable creatures rather than purely scary designs. This theory repositions the upcoming film as more emotionally driven, not just gag-heavy, keeping the franchise's heart intact even with a spookier premise and monster-focused plot. Timeline fix. The new film may exist mainly to tighten the messy franchise timeline, using the monster plot as a distraction. Fans have long pointed out continuity quirks, such as inconsistencies about Gru's childhood dreams and certain historical details between the prequel films and the main trilogy. A discussion thread proposes that a third entry could quietly stitch these gaps together, explaining why some events in The Rise of Gru do not perfectly line up with the original series. The monster storyline would be the surface adventure, while background details like ages, technology levels, and villain organizations would subtly align the larger universe. Commenters speculate this is partly driven by franchise longevity, with multiple films in continuity making cleaning up the lore essential for future sequels. This theory appeals to detail-oriented viewers, who see the new film as more than just another comedy, positioning the movie as a structural keystone for the whole franchise, while using monsters as the entertaining vehicle. If you found this interesting, consider subscribing so you never miss new content. Thanks for watching.